Welcome back to Gruber Motor Company. We have 3 platforms streaming today. We've got TikTok. Again, welcome TikTok visitors. We have Instagram, and we're on YouTube live now. We're going to cover a number of topics today. We hope that it'll be fun for you. It's certainly fun for us. We'll entertain questions and get rolling here. What do you think, Richard?
I think that it's a beautiful day for a morning show.
Perfect. All right. So one of the first things we wanted to cover is, what are Tesla superchargers? Well, the brief story is, when Tesla began releasing EVs, they realized they needed a charging network in order to make these cars sellable. So they created what were called destination chargers at the time. You got one with the car that you could plug in your home. You could charge at 120 volts, which is a common 20 amp outlet in your house, and it was very slow. It would take you 30 hours or so to get a full charge at that rate. They also gave you a level 2 charger, which is a 240 volt charger, comparable to what your dryer runs on, or your water heater, or your kitchen range. It uses 2 legs of 120 equaling 240 volts, and now the charge time could get up to 80 amps, and it was a far more rapid charge compared to the 15 amp 120 volt outlet. Somewhere along the way, people decided, you know what, even destination charging kind of cramps our style when we're on trips or vacation. Who wants to sit there and spend hours charging while on vacation? And Tesla decided, let's bypass the AC to DC conversion in the car and go directly to the batteries with direct DC, and that's what a supercharger does. It essentially is a DC power supply that injects high current DC directly into the battery. So it charges much faster than if you were to plug it into your normal charger. Cost of electricity at the supercharger level is around 25 cents per kilowatt hour, but it's definitely a perk. Now, the other thing that often comes up is Tesla, in order to be viable and sell their cars, they decided to give away free fuel. It's kind of like buying a Chevy, Ford, Nissan, BMW, or whatever, and the manufacturer says, you know what, we're going to give you free gasoline for the life of your car or your life. And that was an unprecedented move, and it was a brilliant move because it helped sell electric vehicles. Out here, we all knew that Tesla was not going to be able to sustain that because cost of electricity, cost of infrastructure, lease costs to set up superchargers at malls, all of that was a huge expense for Tesla. And we were all waiting to see what it was going to evolve into. But it was definitely a tempting selling point because free fuel is definitely a motivator to switch from ICE to electric vehicles. So here's the deal. People who bought and took delivery of their Tesla prior to April 2017 received free supercharging for their vehicle. And by that time, they had built some nationwide capability, so they were pretty ubiquitous. After that date, Teslas no longer came with that option, except for a short period to promote sales in 2018. And however, in mid-August, Tesla revived the option again for the Model S and the Model X, but it was cut off later toward the beginning of the COVID pandemic. The primary reason for cutting back during COVID was there was an expense involved. And as the economy struggled, Tesla's sales and production rates also dropped. And as a result, Tesla was forced to reduce the starting price of several models and to remove unlimited supercharging perks indefinitely. However, cars that were grandfathered prior to 2017 continued to enjoy that benefit. Now, some statistics indicate that Tesla has spent over $23 million on free supercharging for owners that already had the option before Tesla restructured the program and took away the free element. And Tesla has actually spent more on free supercharging than it's actually generated from the additional sales by offering the perk. So it's very generous of Tesla to continue this.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I found interesting about this information was we're not sure whether or not this this perk transfers from one vehicle or from one owner to another with the same vehicle. There isn't a whole lot of information on whether or not the perk is transferable. Have you heard anything about that, Pete?
Well, at this point, the perk is transferable.
Okay.
What we don't know is how long Tesla will continue this,
Okay.
because as a cost-cutting move, they could easily say, okay, that benefit was for the original buyer of the vehicle. We cannot continue that program for the next buyer.
Very nice. Interesting. Well, it's good that they, as of right now, they're continuing, right? They're going to continue doing that with no real
Yeah,
sign in sight.
pre-2017 cars are still getting free supercharging. Where Tesla draws the line is once a car's status switches from fully titled car to salvage value, Tesla knows when your car switches, and they have removed supercharging ability on salvage cars. And some of the justifications are, since Tesla wasn't repairing salvage cars for a long time, they were usually backyard mechanics that were rebuilding these cars and putting them back on the road. And you have a lot of protocols and safety issues in a 400-volt electric vehicle car that may not have been followed. So the concern from Tesla is we really don't want these cars commingling with our normal titled cars at the superchargers, because if they catch on fire, guess who's liable? It's not going to be the backyard mechanic, it's going to be the manufacturer. So that's one of the stated reasons for discontinuing the program on salvage cars.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give a shout out here. We don't have any questions yet, but Maddie Mo on TikTok is saying, "Greetings. I actually work for Tesla. Thanks for doing what you do."
Oh, well, thank you, Maddie. We've got a TikTok viewer that works for Tesla, and it looks like we have an audience there as well. So it turns out that Tesla is actually beginning to monetize the supercharger network, which is something else we've all been waiting for. If you think about it, with the quantity of superchargers all around the world, only being fed by revenue from now the later model Teslas, when in fact any vehicle, any EV could charge, it seems to make sense to open up that huge network to the other brands. There was a brief moment that Tesla opened up within the last couple of days, the ability for non-Tesla vehicles to sign up for the supercharger ability. And it was quickly pulled, but while it was up, apparently there was a pay-per-use option as well as a membership listed at 99 cents per month. The feeling now is it was quickly taken down. Another competitor is offering the same type of service at $4 a month. We don't know at this point whether Tesla was trying to be competitive at 99 cents or whether that was a typo and it was really $9.99 or $99.99. So it looks like it's down right now, but they briefly brought it up online and people could actually sign up for this.
Another piece that's uncertain why it was available for a short period of time. It was around from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. So it's a very short amount of time. It could have been a test, could have been a glitch, it could have been an initial launch and then something went wrong and they took it down. We're still not sure about that either.
Sure. Or it was the public relations team that launched it, and the legal department showed up quickly and said, "Wait a minute, we haven't thought this through." That sometimes happens as well.
That is a valid point.
So we've got a brief segment from Andrew Liveris, who is the Lucid Group chairman. And he was asked a number of questions, the future of their company, of course, right now with the supply chain problems that they're having, how they're going to compete. And he said some fairly encouraging things. First of all, he said there's plenty of room for EV manufacturers with the conversion that is going on now, or the quantity of conversion. Lucid's goal is to provide differentiation in technology. In other words, make things different, improve on things. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that with a luxury interior, increasing the range over 500 miles, which is unprecedented. And I think they're building a reputation based on differentiating themselves from the rest of the EV producers.
I think they're doing a pretty good job at that as well. Something that stuck out to me the most was that you can get up to 300 miles of charge in 22 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
How does that compare to the rest of the market that you've seen, or compared to Tesla right now?
Well, it's faster, but close. Yeah, so that's, and of course with some of the other charging protocols now that are evolving around the world, like the 800 volt charging protocols, things will get faster with the better battery technologies emerging too. I can't wait till graphene finally starts to make something happen. You know, charging times are going to continue to reduce. The other thing I found interesting about Lucid is, which actually Tesla started by opening up direct sales channels and bypassing dealer networks. The traditional auto manufacturers actually are saddled by ridiculous regulation that doesn't allow them to sell directly. And Tesla actually fought that system and began to go direct to end users. You know, the bottom line is people today buy online. How many people really want to drive down to a car dealership and get accosted by a bunch of commission-breathing salespeople and then play the negotiating game? People don't like it.
No.
People like the convenience of sitting, you know, in their pajamas at their screen, looking at options and finding something to buy. And Tesla realized that. So Lucid is following the same format. They're opening up retail centers, which of course is important. You need to be able to show off your product and let people touch it, feel it, and see it. The other thing that Tesla did, which was brilliant, they didn't open up these retail centers in just any mall, you know, in South Phoenix, for example. They went into the high-dollar malls where the affluent people frequent. Here in Phoenix, for example, or Phoenix area, it's Fashion Square out in Scottsdale. Further north, you've got, help me with this one, I can't think.
Scottsdale Quarter.
Scottsdale Quarter, exactly, yeah. And they'll eventually filter into the other malls, but that's really where the audience is that can afford to buy a $100,000 plus car. But yeah, Lucid is wisely following that same successful formula, and it's no surprise because Pete Rawlinson spent many years there, the CEO of Lucid.
Well, it's a proven format now. It's a proven method, right? And I just want to touch on, you know, us Arizonans, we're rather proud of Lucid. They make their cars right down in Casa Grande.
They do, yes.
So we love having them here.
It looks like there are other EV manufacturers that have targeted Arizona as a fertile climate for developing their products. We have Electromechanica here locally, makes the Solo car, for example. We have Rivian, we have Nikola, and of course Lucid. So yeah, we're very proud. The state should be very proud of the fact that we're continuing the high-tech tradition. You know, in the 1970s, early 80s, for a brief time, it looked like Phoenix or Arizona had the chance to become the next Silicon Valley. We had Intel coming into town. We've got Apple now, for example. It never quite took off the same way that it did in Northern California. But I'm glad to see that the EV effort is, you know, being seeded here in this state.
Agreed, and it's close to Phoenix, right? The Phoenix is the bird to be reborn, right? Now the ICE vehicle is being reborn into the EV here as well.
And it's a great state to do that in. I mean, you know, it's easy to attract people from all over the country that are leaving the Rust Belt, for example. Granted, the summers are a bit hot, but the rest of the 9 months are just glorious here. And with that much infrastructure, you know, companies are looking for a labor pool. And since we have so much high-tech activity going on, it's easy to, you know, find talented people in this area.
Agreed. And you don't have to go far for the hot weather testing.
Yeah.
It'll stay right in your backyard.
Yeah, that's another benefit. So another thing that we have for you is, which I'm really excited about, Dodge is releasing in 2024 an EV. Now, I'm a Dodge fan. Reason being is I've always been a Mopar guy, even since high school. I owned a '69 Plymouth Roadrunner, '68 Dodge Charger, which my son and I restored. We'll throw a picture up there. There it is. That, my friends, is a '68 Dodge Charger with a 6-pack hood on it, which it didn't come with originally. It was a Cam 383. It was an automatic and 3-inch exhaust. The thing really let people know that it was coming, and it was just a load of fun to drive. When I first got this car, it was maroon. The quarter panels were rusted pretty badly. The guy slathered on some Bondo to hide the rust. They needed to be replaced. So I ended up buying them out of Texas, learned how to weld, and actually replaced the quarter panels on that car myself. The reason I bring up this picture and the next one, which is the Dodge Viper, is not only to show you that I am a Dodge faithful, but you can tell that these cars definitely have racing in their DNA. And Dodge, typically, unlike the other manufacturers, has never been afraid to go way out there from a design standpoint and create things that are risky, whether the population will accept it, but they've got some real winners. This is an ACR, 2008 ACR Dodge Viper. It's the largest naturally aspirated production engine made at 512 cubic inches. And no ABS, no traction control. When you drove this car, it was your skills in the car, and if you were deficient, you might get killed. The car was capable of almost 200 miles an hour. That large wing in the back is not for show. That actually provided 1,000 pounds of downforce at 150 miles an hour onto 33 centimeter Michelin PS2 sticky tires, which made this car the best track car of its day. They actually took this all around the world and to 26 tracks and beat track records on every single one around 2008, 2009. But Dodge, not to be outdone with all of this EV craze, is actually coming out with a Charger Daytona SRT. Now, the SRT, or I should say the Daytona, there's some history there. In 1970, both Plymouth and Dodge realized that in order to dominate NASCAR, it may be that aerodynamics becomes important. Prior to that, in the 50s, cars looked like bricks. They were pretty, they were flat front ends, and you were pushing a lot of air. And somewhere along the way, and maybe wind tunnels convinced them, they realized that in order to be the fastest, you really need to concentrate on making it aerodynamic. And it was the Daytona that actually, for the first time in NASCAR history, went over 200 miles an hour during that event. So what Dodge is doing is they're coming out with an EV. They're putting some design elements into this car reminiscent of the early Daytona and that '68 Dodge Charger. But the coolest part of this car, which no EV manufacturer has done yet, is an unexpected feature called a Frat sonic chambered exhaust system. It's an industry first for an EV. It is a amplified exhaust system that reaches 126 decibels, making it as loud as a Hellcat-powered Dodge. And the system pushes this unique performance sound through an amplifier and tuning chamber located at the rear of the vehicle. There's actually a video that you can view if you Google this car, the Charger Daytona SRT. And at the 1 minute 55 second mark, you can hear what this thing sounds like.
Yeah. This thing is absolutely beautiful too, and it's very interesting because we have sports cars, right? We've got the Roadster EV, we've got more SUVs than we can count at this point. Now we're starting to get into pickup trucks, but to my knowledge, nobody's done a muscle car yet. Right. This is the entry of muscle cars into EVs.
The closest thing we have to an exciting EV, in my opinion, by the way, and I might irritate some people here, is a Tesla Roadster. I mean, it is a sports car. It's a two-seater. It's a convertible. It can have a hard top, a soft top. They are brightly colored. They look like a bag of Skittles. There aren't any EVs out there that have captured that kind of passion in the design. And seeing Dodge step up to the plate with something like this is really, for me, rewarding, and it may be the next car that I buy.
Oh, yeah?
The part of the experience with these muscle cars was the noise that they make. And you know, replicating that in this EV, I think, will be interesting. You know, the third element in this car is a multi-speed transmission with an electromechanical shifting experience that delivers the distinctive shift points, throwing shoulders into the seat, back into the seats in true Dodge style. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that. There's some patents pending, apparently, because Tesla tried it with the Roadster. And they ended up scrubbing it because with the amount of torque that an electric motor generates, a three-phase AC induction motor, they were burning up clutch plates and burning up you know, transmissions. So they made it a one-to-one. And that's why the speed on a Tesla Roadster is really limited, fairly low, to 130 miles top speed. When other performance cars, you know, on the the Italian exotics, for example, you know, or even the McLarens, you know, they're 200-mile plus cars. But it'll be interesting to see how Dodge pulls off this one, whether they can actually replicate shifting in this EV.
I'm eager to see it. I can't wait. Hey, Jesse, do we have any questions from the audience?
We only had one question so far, and it was from someone named Carl, I think. Sorry, I forgot the name, but it was on TikTok. So if you can repeat this for them. They wanted to know, and maybe don't give direct financial advice, but they want to know, should I invest in Lucid?
Oh, okay, good question. I just read something on that this morning. The question is from Carl on TikTok: should investors take a hard look at Lucid based on its current price level? I think the opening this morning was around $18 a share. I'm an investor, and I have been for 40 years now. I fancy myself a day trader, and I'm not very good at that. So I finally slowed down and decided to just leave my portfolio alone, and that's been a much more successful program. But to answer the question, is Lucid a buy? In my opinion, absolutely. The primary reason is whenever you have bad news from a company that has staying power, and what I mean by staying power is, my God, the Saudis are funding this car. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to run out of money. They're not going to, you know, shut things down because they took a temporary downturn. So whenever you have a good, solid company with a bright future that just got hit with bad news, man, that's the time to buy. Buy all you can, because it's going to do what's called bounce. It's going to bounce back. And it's in short order. I think Lucid is going to solve some supply chain problems. There will be some more good news that comes out, and you'll watch that stock creep right back up to where it was and beyond. So in my opinion, it's a bargain right now. Is anybody going to ask about whether to invest in Tesla or not? You know,
Pete, do you think Tesla is an investment opportunity right now?
You know, have you noticed that whenever these companies go through a stock split, and they do this fundamentally to make the stock prices more affordable for the average person. You know, $1,000 shares aren't that affordable. Some people may only have a few $100s to put into the stock. But whenever they announce a pending stock split, that's the time to get in. Because after it splits, well, first of all, you end up with you know, that many more shares. If it's a 5-to-1, you suddenly have 5 times more shares. But it eventually rises up to the previous level. It's just the psychology and mentality of the market. And Tesla is due for a stock split. I'm not sure exactly when it's happening. Maybe the readers can chime in and give us a statistic here. So yeah, Tesla, one of the guys that we had on our podcast here said, have you noticed that Tesla is like anti-gravity? It doesn't seem to be able to go down or stay down very long. Another investor or collector that we repair our, who stores Roadsters here, was I was mentioning that Tesla is a rock-solid buy. He feels it will be the largest company on the planet within the next few years, based on a number of things. Their trajectory, the impact that they have on this transportation revolution. One of the things that the Lucid chairman said, in our lifetime, we're going to see the complete conversion from ICE to EVs. That's all we'll see out there at some point in time.
Tesla is also getting involved with solar, right? And Elon has teased a Tesla home for some time. So they've got multi-avenues that are going to, once everybody's driving a Tesla, they're still going to have opportunities to grow and to expand.
Well, they're in multiple markets, and they seem to all be future-proof markets. I mean, SpaceX, for example. Look how quickly, in the span of a very few years, SpaceX was able to displace the old traditional, companies that dominated space, exploration and the development of space travel. Solar, Tesla's in solar, and that, of course, is in our future as well. And then there's some crazy stuff like robotics. That's going to be a fun one too. And then the Neuralink project, direct biointerface. So some exciting things. But I think the things that are going to carry Tesla is definitely going to be, the manufacturing of cars and SpaceX.
Okay, we got another question back here. This one is on YouTube from Chris. What's the current status from Tesla on the 3.0 battery pack for the Roadster?
Okay, the question is, what's the current status from Tesla on the current Roadster 3.0 battery pack? Now let's talk about some background here. The Tesla Roadster desperately needs a battery replacement solution. Some of these cars are 14 years old now. The original design life of the Tesla Roadster battery pack, we talked to J.B. Strobel a couple of years ago, he admitted was 10 years. They're all pleasantly surprised that we're going on 14 years and in some cases still going strong, but it won't go on forever. The problem with the Tesla Roadster is there are only 1,500 or so left, and for private industry to jump in and develop an independent third-party battery pack is just not cost effective. Tesla is selling this pack for $30,000, actually $29,000 plus tax in the United States. We have run the numbers every which way possible. There's no way that anybody in the independent space is going to be able to build a pack for $30,000. You have upfront tooling costs. You have scale of economies that are missing that Tesla has. None of us out here are going to be able to buy lithium-ion cells by the millions like Tesla and get price breaks. So the only way to keep a Tesla Roadster on the road currently is Tesla with that 3.0 battery pack. The information that Tesla is releasing about the 3.0 battery pack is very spotty and sketchy. We're not getting detailed production numbers, how many are being built, what the backlog is like. If you're interested in any of this, on our website we have a Roadster census where we've been collecting Roadster information, VINs, where they're located, colors, and whether they're in the battery queue or not. And a year and a half ago or so, Tesla told us that we can collect people that are interested in the battery replacement. So we have a queue system that we share with them every month. And we let them know who's interested in a battery pack. As far as any additional data, it's not bi-directional. Tesla doesn't share with us how many they've installed. We also find that some people have been waiting for years, and others, get notified within a few months that their pack is available. So at this point, the good news is they are still making the 3.0 pack. We see no indication that they're going to stop doing so, and there are people that are getting batteries.
All right, that's all the questions we have for now. So if you guys want to dive into another article.
I've actually got a question from Instagram. So Curvy Limit, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the name. So I've got the question is, what is your opinion on the 400 volt and 800 volt system and their charging/curve limitations. Curve/limitations. Charging curve/limitations, excuse me, in regard to the Charger.
Okay, the Dodge Charger, the new Daytona coming out, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that is going to be an 800-volt system, and it looks like a lot of the manufacturers are moving to that new standard. Part of the concerns were once you place 800 volts in a vehicle, you've got some dangerous, lethal voltages floating around there. Now, granted, they clearly mark them bright orange if it's a high voltage wire, you know. That's also the reason that these electric vehicles still have 12-volt batteries in them. Some of the devices, like in the Roadster, for example, and in the Model S, the compressor runs on 400 volts DC. Again, those are dangerous voltages, and if you have people digging around and they're doing service work that aren't properly protected, that can be pretty dangerous. But the benefit of going to higher voltages is smaller wire sizes at the charging station levels. Every time you double voltage, you decrease your current by half. And so the higher the voltage, the less wire or the less thick wire you need, and it becomes more efficient to do charging. That's one of the reasons that the high tension lines crisscrossing the world, delivering AC to where the power is needed, are running on hundreds of thousands of volts, if not millions of volts, because the wire size can remain fairly small and they can pack a whole bunch of power across that medium.
Awesome. That's all we got from Instagram here. And I believe the Dodge Charger was our last article here. Did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I may buy one. That's the first thing. But what's going to sell me on it is what kind of sound that car makes. And you know, if it's a speaker-driven, audio-amplified sound, maybe people are going to. It won't be quite as believable as you know, a chambered exhaust that is cranking out all kinds of decibels. But you know, at 126 dB, it seems to me that is up there with jet engines at an airport.
It's louder. I looked it up, and they're about 90 at takeoff.
Really? Okay. So 126 will wake up some people. Is that
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're saying?
I was just thinking it's going to be amazing for neighborhoods now, because if anybody has sense about them and doesn't want to wake their neighbors up at 5 a.m., they just flip it off, get out to the street, and flip
That's
it
true.
right back on.
Yeah, that's true. We used to have exhaust cutouts in the 60s that were mechanical, and you could actually quiet down the exhaust, which where I lived in New York State was important because you actually got ticketed if you had a certain level of exhaust. I remember getting one of those. And nowadays it doesn't seem like that's important anymore when you've got that Harley going down your neighborhood or that sports bike winding out in the middle of the night. Yeah, wakes up a few people.
Well, if you get pulled over for exhaust sound in the EV, you can just tone it down. Like, officer, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What sound, officer? Yes.
Like, sir, do you need some help? I'm here to help you.
Okay, we got
We have a
another
question.
back here. If you can repeat this for our TikTok and Instagram audience.
Sure.
Basically, the question is, what is it like to travel cross country in an EV? Is charging infrastructure scaling fast enough? Are there enough chargers? Basically.
Okay. That sounds like someone that still has ICE vehicles, and the question is, what is traveling cross-country with an EV like, and what kind of constraints do you have? The simple answer to that is, my family and I went to San Diego, which is, about 500 miles or so from Phoenix. And we took our Model S. We find that the supercharger stations are generally located where there are points of interest, you know, shopping malls, places to eat. It may be a Carl's Jr., but still it was a place that, you know, you could spend some time. And the amount of time that your car spent charging was not noticeable because you were preoccupied with some other activity. What it does eventually constrain you with is when you go to a QT or a gas station to fill up, you know, you're in and out of there in 5 minutes. And of course, mileage is comparable, but with an EV, you've got to be prepared for about a half-hour charging session, even with a supercharger. And it does add to your trip, especially if you're going cross-country. With a car like a Tesla Roadster, forget about it. You're not going to travel cross-country in a Roadster. First of all, there's no luggage space. It's kind of like a Ferrari. You can put a set of golf clubs in there, and that's about it. And charging is very limited because a Roadster will not accept supercharging. You have to find destination chargers, and those are usually much slower. So you're going to spend a lot of time charging if you try to take a car like that.
And we did just have a content creator out. We'll be releasing an interview soon with him, and he said the same thing. You know, he said that they're coming from Colorado here to Arizona, that there were plenty of charging stations. He had a Model X, I believe, and he had zero complaints about it. You know, he got out at the chargers and filmed different TikToks, filmed different content, and he occupied his time. And he had, from what he said, he had no complaints about that travel.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay.
We do have another one from Instagram. We've got R Cabrera, 911R. What is your opinion on VW's efforts at EV? And he says thanks in advance.
My opinion is that the Germans are a bit advanced when it comes to making cars. They're not advanced when it comes to making EVs, but they're going to get it fairly quickly. I've heard a lot of good things about this EV that VW is making. Yeah, the ID4. There we go. Got some pictures of it up there.
Got the ID4, and then a lot of people are anticipating the van. Let me look at that real quick. Yeah, the
It's got the
ID
retro
Buzz.
styling too. Look at that. Yeah, it's got the iconic look.
I believe right now it's just in a concept stage. I might be wrong, don't quote me. But there is more to come as far as what the actual production van is going to look like.
Sure. You know, all these manufacturers, in order to pivot, are going to have to make mainstream vehicles to begin with, because that's what feeds the machinery that you know, is cranking out the rest of or that's supporting production. But as these manufacturers begin to post some profits, I'm looking forward to them moving into the limited vehicle production, kind of like what Dodge did with the Viper. You know, I'm not sure it was ever profitable, but they put out a really cool small run car.
Oh yeah.
Electromechanic is actually doing the same thing with that throwback Porsche, that Roadster, 50s Roadster. But that really doesn't happen well until they get enough market share and they're pushing out product to help support or generate cash flow.
It'll be really interesting to see those limited production EVs. Once that, you know, we've already got one, right? We've got the Roadster, right? But going forward, when EVs are a mainstream thing where everybody's driving it, the infrastructure's there, nobody has any hesitancies with the majority of what's going on, kind of like the market right now with ICE, right? Nobody's worried about running out of gas, right? You've got gas stations everywhere and all that. Once EVs are at that point where everything is, nobody's concerned, I'm very curious to see what kind of limited production, one-off, exotic cars and the like are made.
Sure. You know, there was one other article that I don't think made it into our lineup here, but I caught this morning. There was a drag strip, and I forget where it was now. They pitted a Tesla Model S Plaid against a vintage Chevrolet, and it was a Impala. It was a nitrous oxide car, 2,500 horsepower, folks, with 26-inch wheels in the back. It was you know, a heavily modified production car, basically. But this 2,500 horsepower Chevy Impala actually beat the Model S Plaid. And off the line, the Model S dominated. Yeah, I think that's the one right there. The Model S dominated the first 100 feet or so, but then the Impala began to catch up, and going through the final trap, it actually beat that Plaid. And you don't hear that very often. You know, I mean, these Plaid cars are, you know, virtually annihilating anything at the drag strip, modified, you name it. So that was an interesting article.
Yeah, that Impala has got to be fast, like scary fast, for it to have beaten this Plaid. I mean, you know how fast a Plaid is. You've sat in one, you've felt it being pushed to the floor. That's just insane.
Apparently, on the first run, the Impala got a little sideways and got squirrely.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so by default, the Model S finished, whereas the Impala didn't. But on the second run is when it actually beat the Plaid. All right, we're going to see the run here. Cool. All right. Now notice how the Plaid is up ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, squirrely.
one second here. So
that
we
was
have
the
another
first one.
question back here.
All right, we've got a question.
This one's coming from TikTok. It says, "What's the best EV truck?"
Ooh.
What's the best? What's
So you
the
want to
best
talk
EV
EV trucks, Richard?
Yeah.
For Pete over there, if you could bring up the Atlas truck and the Lightning and the Rivian. Those are three that I know about.
Well, the Cybertruck, but we don't
yeah,
have a product
if
yet.
that thing comes.
Don't forget about Canoe.
Yeah.
Yep, Canoe is another one. Yeah, I'm talking about ones that are out
Yeah.
there for people. Atlas isn't even out there yet, actually, but
No.
they're close.
So this is the company in Mesa.
That's Atlas, yeah.
That's Atlas.
Can you repeat the question for everybody?
Yeah, so the question is, what is the best pickup truck in the EV world? Tough question, of course, because it depends on what you're looking for. Best in what category? Best range, best distance, best styling, and of course that's a subjective term. In my estimation, the best at this point in pickup trucks would be the one that is out there, that's available, that is most reliable. And so far, I'm hearing good things about Rivian, the Ford F-150 Lightning. Of course, people all expect the Cybertruck to be a great truck as well, just not there yet. From a cost standpoint, do we have any data here comparing Rivian to the available Ford F-150?
Yep.
And I'm be pulling this up for you guys on YouTube here in just a second.
Okay. It's kind of exciting having all of these EV options beginning to emerge.
So we've got this first one. It includes the Hummer.
Oh, we've got to put
As
GMC
well.
in there, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are leading the EV charge, you know.
GMC?
Yeah, yeah. Wink, wink. You couldn't see
Yeah.
it because of my sunglasses, right?
But earlier with the question about the 800 volts, I was struggling with the idea of saying, I don't know about you, but I'm amped up.
Okay, there you go. Ta-da. Where's the drum roll? Yeah, behind us.
So yeah, let's take a look at the pricing here. So F-150, Rivian. Got lots of pictures, which is great.
Yeah, you got to admit that that Cybertruck just deviates so much from the other styles. Looks like the rest of the manufacturers tried to stay with that original look and feel and expectation of a pickup truck.
So we have a comparison for of the mileage here. Looks like the F-150 Lightning is 230 to 320.
Miles range, okay.
And then the Rivian is at 230 to 400, is a large range there. The GMC is 329 miles on the dot. And the Cybertruck is going to be anywhere between 250 to 500 miles. And I believe that this is accounting for the different trim packages.
Okay. Yeah, they probably have different options and different prices. Any other questions in the meantime, Jesse?
Let's see.
It looks like
Let me take a look here. I don't see anything on TikTok.
Okay.
well, we have a joke here on TikTok. I guess I could share it. I'm not sure I get it, but Richard is saying he's got a dad joke. What did the drummer call his twin daughters? Anna 1 and Anna 2.
That is definitely a dad joke.
Yeah. All right.
I don't.
Thank you for sharing, though. Yeah.
I think I could stand to hear some more dad jokes. That'd be
Yeah.
all right. We do have a question. So, is there a real 4x4 pickup which has all the 4x4 like a bowler?
Let's see. We should know that. I don't.
Okay. We've got the prices. I know that there are a few companies. I think Alpha Wolf is one that is working on the 4x4. Check them out. But as far as like a real off-roading, we heard good things about Rivian. When we went to an EV meetup, and the gentleman who had the Rivian couldn't stop, praising it. It was that it handled very, very well off-road. It was towing an 11,000-pound Airstream. So I think that these things are going to, by default, operate very well off-road. But as far as an off-road specific EV, I think we're still waiting to see something like that. Well, we've got the prices for the different pickups here, if we want to compare.
Sure.
The Ford F-150 Lightning is $41,000 to start. The Rivian, $68,500. The GMC, $79,900, so $80,000. And the Cybertruck is just under $40,000.
Okay. Looks like it's the least expensive in that lineup right now.
Okay, and Pete, we got another question
Sure.
on TikTok. They want to know what's your opinion on electric semis? You done any research into those?
So the question is, what's our opinion on the electric semis? Well, the performance of a electric semi is just blowing us all away. The fact that this thing with a full payload can get 0 to 60 times at 5.6 seconds. There isn't a diesel out there that can even come close to any of that. Until I see them on the road, I guess I'd have to reserve my opinions. I think it's an exciting concept. We're definitely headed in that direction, but yeah, it'll be fascinating to see those things start hitting the road.
Agreed.
Okay, and we had one more question from Rob on TikTok. It says, have you ever heard about Web Motorworks that sells an electric motor replacement?
Have we heard of a Web Motorworks that sells an electric motor replacement?
Yeah, have you heard of that company?
I have not. We're all waiting for the market to expand in the areas of EV conversions, or ICE vehicle conversions to EV, I guess would be the right way to phrase it.
Pull it up over there, Richard.
Yeah, I've got it right here, right on the front screen right now. It looks like an EV drive unit that's designed to look like an engine.
Oh, very cool. Look at it. They have an air cleaner. They've got valve covers
Yeah.
and exhaust pipes
Look at that.
that don't go anywhere, but yeah.
That's still cool.
It
I
would
like
be
it.
cool, yeah. And look at that. They've got a water jacket there. But that may be functional
Yeah.
because we've got to cool some of this hardware.
Can you imagine one of the, like your old Challenger had that hood scoop on it, or had the intake, having one of these pop out? in
That
its
would
place.
be cool, yeah. But we would need that 126 dB sound system in that car to replicate the original sound that car made. You know, with a cammed big block engine, it was a pretty lopey idle to begin with, and you know, that definitely was part of the experience. Every time I go to a gas station, and I did that a lot with that car, I got like 10 miles to the gallon. There'd be a crowd of people around it, you know, by the time I got done gassing up, questions and looking through it. It's kind of like EVs when they first popped up. I was watching a video yesterday. It was one of the first Lucid owners in Florida, and he said that crowds would just you know, flock around the car. Yeah, these EVs, the early ones, are celebrities right now.
Absolutely. I mean, the first time I saw a Lucid, as for your example, I immediately turned into the parking lot and just, you know, I'd never seen one, and I was like, is that a Lucid? And I was like, across the way to the gas station. I drove across, And I had to take a look at it. Like, okay, all right.
And the owner was
Mental
used
note.
to the conversation, I'll bet.
Oh yeah, totally. It's yeah, and I bet when you got your Roadster, you had the same type
Oh,
of.
yeah, totally. And it depends on what color I'm driving, because I'm the test driver for the Roadsters. That insane green I had, hands down, that was the most, I got more attention with that car than any other Roadster I've ever driven.
Okay, and we got Rob on TikTok asking, can EVs charge wirelessly in the future?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Rob is asking on TikTok, can EVs charge wirelessly or through inductive coupling in the future? In our last podcast, we talked about that a bit. There are companies that are making these wireless charging beds where, yes, you can, through inductive coupling, no wires or no connections, actually receive a charge for your car. And it can be bidirectional. You can also create vehicle-to-grid where the energy stored in your car can be fed into, at home, for example, into your solar system or your DC plant in your home. We also talked about Israel having wireless charging on certain streets that's being tested, and that seems to be the ultimate. I mean, now you no longer have to stop the charge ever, because as you're driving, you're receiving a charge, and limiting the amount of charge that you need once you've topped off.
I think that concept is just absolutely insane. It's in a good way, right? Insanely innovative, and if that becomes the standard, things are just going to completely change.
And the argument there was, look at everything over the last few decades that has gone wireless. Why not vehicle charging? And people may laugh in the future and say, what, you actually plug the cable into your car to charge it, We have another question?
No, we are out of questions. We are almost at an hour, though, so if you guys want to wrap up.
Sure. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. Feel free to join us. These podcasts are aired Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And you can you can view the content on YouTube after it's posted today. And be sure to check out all of our other videos. We've got some really cool stuff out there.
I agree.
Yep, and Richard, go ahead and promo your show coming out.
Yeah, sure. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. We really appreciate your guys' questions. We very much so enjoy answering those. You guys bring a wonderful perspective to the show. So I'm beginning a new show called Fridays with Friends. We are going to be releasing our first interview, not this Friday, not tomorrow, but the following. The first one will air with Tesla Flex.
Excellent. All right, and thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.